Welcome back to ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. My name is Dave Vincent. Men's finals are on the show court now as Paul Brady is going up against Andy Nett. First-time finalist Andy Nett making it onto the center court here as he warms up. And we are going to be live here at the NYAC on the Edel Handball Race for 8 Tour. Stop number 5. 6 stops this year. 8 players will be invited to Salt Lake City to include the men's pros, the elite players there in the men, as well as the women pros and the seniors. Our referee is now into the referee's spot, and they're going to get this announcement underway as Paul Brady and Andy Nett, who is the Cinderella story, also making his way to the show court here. I want to thank ESPN, NYAC, Edel Handball, and those sponsors, volunteers, donors that have helped make this one heck of a tournament. So far, it's been a blast. Weather's been slightly better than we have had in past years here in New York, and the players have enjoyed it. Walking downtown, watching the great sights and sounds and all of the lights here in New York. Paul Brady saying that he loves this stop. Sometimes you go to such a great stop that it's sort of a distraction for what you're trying to do. And for other guys like Andy Nett, you're not distracted at all.
Paul, heads or tails?
Our referee is Luis Cordova.
All right.
And here's the announcement.
Let's go, guys. Let's go, Paul. We're ready.
Dave, we're waiting for the announcement here from our referee as Paul Brady exited the court for just a couple seconds, but now he's back.
Paul Brady's already had 3 shirt changes, Dave, since I've seen him a half an hour ago.
Yeah, these guys are actually packing extra clothing just for the pregame warm-up. That's how intense this has become.
Your line? Huh? My brother's doing it.
You know, it's really interesting
You and me? I thought it was you. Okay.
how intense that last match was. Katrina Casey was emotional and shaking during that interview at the end. And by shaking, I mean you can tell that she certainly had been pushed. I mean, I've not seen her push like that, and the crowd sensed it too. And I've seen this in the past when a match ends, the crowd goes and they'll use the facilities or get a cup of coffee or get some juice and walk around and stretch. No, they stayed there and listened to every single word that was said from both of the competitors. It was really unique and fun to watch.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final match of the tournament. Serving first from County Cavan, Ireland, Paul Brady.
Hands together for Paul Brady.
Receiving serve from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Andy Nett. Zero serve, 0.
Our referee is Luis Cordova. Here's Paul Brady in the black, serving first from Ireland.
Short.
Best 2 out of 3 to 15. Tiebreaker also
Both agree.
to 15. You have to win by 2 here. Traditional scoring, which means server is the only one that scores a
Second
point.
serve.
Andy Nett with a gray shirt from Winona, Minnesota. And this can be a huge setup for Paul Brady. Going to blast down the right side. Andy goes to the pre-dive, unable to get it. First point now for Paul Brady.
1 serve, 0.
Boy, that ball.
Point. He appealed the serve. I called it good.
That ball's hit so
One
fast
agrees,
that
one
it looks like it
disagrees.
skips
Point.
on the ground.
2 serve, 0.
Score 2-0. Very quick 2 points for Paul Brady. Make that 3.
Point.
No timeout
serve,
from
0.
Andy Nett.
Short.
I thought that ball might have made it over the line, but Paul's not going to disagree here.
Second serve.
Andy Nett is one of these guys that's actually had some success against Paul Brady. Now, he's never defeated Paul in singles, but you remember, Dave, Andy was the
Point.
catalyst for beating Paul Brady and Mike Finnegan in the World Doubles Championships in 2012. They've matched up just one time in singles,
4-0.
also in 2012 at the Nationals, where Andy Nett scored 15 in the quarterfinals there
Second serve.
in the first game. Not too many people have scored 15 points off Paul Brady in the national quarterfinal.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Look at that shot from Paul Brady.
you can remember Andy saying, well, I had some opportunities
5-0.
there. He hasn't had any yet thus far.
Actually, none. I mean, Andy's got that amazing
Point.
serve. He can't even get into the
Timeout.
service box to
Score
do it.
6-0. 1
Dave,
minute.
what is it about Paul Brady? He can just hit the corners and the rally's over. I mean, I feel like I hit the corner and every time my opponent's picking it up. He hits the corner and they're 15 feet away from it.
Yeah.
How does he do that? I mean, is he freezing them by making them think that he's going down the right? Let's think about that. Kara Mack is in the gallery, Dave. Kara.
I'm in the gallery, Colin Crayon. You played Andy, and yesterday. Was it yesterday? I've lost track of days now. All right. And he can't even get in the service box here. What do you think is going through his head here, thinking, I just want to get in that service box. That's where I excel. How can I break him?
I guess just because it's the same thing what I do, try and get onto his serves. Like he's just paddling up Brady's serves, and he's going to have to be more aggressive and try and push him back.
Playing Andy, what do you notice as his strengths and weaknesses?
His serve. His serve. He served 15 serves to me, so I wasn't even tired after the game.
Thank you so much. Back to you guys.
Yeah, that's a good point from Colin. Andy served so good you weren't even tired when the game was over. But how can Paul ever even see Andy serve if he's not going to let him serve?
7-0.
This is by design, I think.
I think it's always your design as a player to not allow your opponent to the server's box.
And this is going to be really tough here because
0
Andy
serve
has
7.
to get on a serve like this second.
Yeah.
Can't wait 2 or 3 more times to get into rhythm. He has to find the rhythm now. And he doesn't do it. Paul returns. Paul was already waiting for that ball down the right before he even got there.
7-0.
How can Paul be here at the facility and also listen to what the announcers say
Amazing.
at the same time?
There's not many players with the strength to hit the left corner from the back
8-0.
right corner of the court.
And keep the ball up front like that and down low, and Andy's able to dig that out. Paul going to step in and power it again. This isn't the first time Nett has played Brady, so certainly Nett isn't nervous, but he could be a
9-0.
little bit shaky from the final.
Well, I think playing Paul in a final is a little bit different. I think
Hold
Paul
it.
brings a different kind of intensity and game to the final. We mentioned, Dave, that Paul's not lost in the finals since 2004. His only 2 losses came in quarterfinals.
9-0.
And you'd never say Paul Brady's beatable, but I think if you're going to beat him, you have a better chance in the earlier rounds.
Point. $10-0.
Make that 11-0. What would you rather have? Make it to the final of one of these big
Yes,
matches?
make it to the final, yes.
And score a 0?
Yes, yes.
And score a 0?
Yes. Make it to the final. You don't need the other
11-0.
option.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need it. And that's what, I saw John
Point.
Iglesias last night, Dave, at the banquet. He scored 0 and run on Sean Lenning. Said, I got 0. I said, who
12-0.
cares? You made it to the quarterfinals. You got 6th place. I mean,
Point.
that's a great result. What, you want to get 9th place and a loss
13-0.
15-13 in a great match?
And then beat yourself up over that loss, which is what you would do.
I mean, Luis Cordova told me that. He said, I don't care if I get, what do I care if I get a donut? It's a loss. I would have rather gotten a donut than lost when I had match point.
Boy, Andy finally makes a pretty good shot, but it's right into the wheelhouse. So Paul was just waiting for it, and he re-kills it.
Game point, 0.
And in 6 minutes, Paul Brady's going for the first game here.
I think just about everything is in Paul's wheelhouse.
Shut out.
And Dave, we're on the verge of seeing another donut in a final. We saw Katrina Casey do it twice.
0 serves 14.
Is this a second or third serve chance for Nett in this first game? Second chance.
Short. Second serve. Point.
ace, so Andy's now on the board.
1 serves 14.
Wow.
Point.
Thought Andy should have let that go to the back wall, but why let it go to the back wall and he can a flat kill punch?
2 serves 14.
There's
Short.
another one that was close.
Second serve.
Dave, this is
Point.
very encouraging for Andy, who's now getting himself into this match.
3 serves 14. Short. Second serve. Short.
Oh, double fault. Right when you had a rhythm, 3 straight points, and then you double fault.
Game point serves 3.
You're letting the GOAT get back into the server's box.
And Andy
Wow.
hitting some great shots now.
That was a nice return from Andy.
Yeah, it's difficult to go left to
3
left
serves
from
14.
39 feet, 6 inches high.
Hold out. Game point serves 3. Short. Second serve.
Andy was really
Game.
slow getting up there.
Well,
3
Dave,
minutes.
I think the only formula against Paul is let him get the game point because his game seems to drop dramatically when he needs one more point. Up until then, he's absolutely unstoppable. Paul built a 14-0 lead in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Took him another 3 minutes and 40 seconds to score that final point. Andy was able to score 3 points in the interim. But, you know, it's Paul Brady doing what he does, which is focused, dominant, the best player that's ever lived.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that pregame warm-up, which is intimidating in its own right, and then he goes into the court, and it's almost as if he's already played a match, and he's just coming off the court, and he's now, you know, already into the rhythm. These other players are taking 10 to 12 points before they seem to even have an opportunity. Then they get their opportunity, and now it looks like it could be a match, but Paul's already won 15-3. I mean, just he's amazing. And, you know, you'd say that the way that Andy Nett is going to defeat Paul Brady today is to get a great serve and then first strike him, but he only served 4 or 5 times in that first game. He needs to serve 8 or 9 times. I mean, Paul Brady served multiple times, obviously 15 and to 4, and that's
was
almost exactly
3.
the score.
Well, Paul did get taken out of the server's box 4 times there. So
19-4, 19-5. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to see how, you know, Paul is able to neutralize everything. And really just being on the court against Paul is what is the first thing that you have to get through your brain, that you're on the court against him. Try to minimize the emotions that are going through your brain. And some players have been able to do it. Dave, I know, you know, you step on the court, you don't let a lot of that, you know, I'm just going to try to make my shots. But he's not allowing you to make any shots. Just intimidating, because now you think you have to hit it lower because it's Paul, and now it takes you out of your game. You're skipping balls in. Paul Brady here on another streak, going to go for another championship win on this show court. Now we're going to go into game number 2. Andy Nett scores 3 in the first one. Here on the Race for 8 Tour, only 3-minute break in between games. Not 5 minutes, but 3. Both players bounce back into the court early, though.
Well, a match like this or a first game like that, you really don't even want to take 3 minutes. I don't think either guy does. It's our referee could start this really at any time since we didn't go to break.
20 seconds.
I've asked my opponents, Dave, after a quick first game, do you want to just keep going? And a lot of times we just do. I don't play on TV though, but just saying.
Does it look to you that Andy is a little sore? I mean, he dove and didn't get up a couple times. I've seen him, you know, he played 2 extra rounds of play compared to Paul, and both of those seemed to push him a little bit.
Well, no, I don't think he was slow to get up because he was sore. I just think he knew the point was pretty much over. He popped the ball right back to Paul Brady, and when you're playing Paul Brady, he's not going to make that kind of error.
Wow.
Now we're seeing Andy Nett start to trade, though, with Paul. He didn't win that rally, but he had a couple good looks. It wasn't like those first 14 rallies we saw that were,
Amazing.
you know.
Yeah, an instructional video.
Point.
There's another very quick point after a side out from Paul Brady here in the men's finals of the WPH Race Freight New York.
Andy's not really a fist to the ceiling return guy, and he tried that there.
Hold it.
Paul with a huge setup there, and he just hit it right back to himself.
1-0.
That's an amazing serve. You would call that a 4-bouncer, Dave, to the back wall. Actually a 2-bouncer, though.
I think it's the
2-0.
reflection off the glass. I'm
Oh,
seeing that
okay, you
extra
count that reflection.
I do.
Yeah.
I thought Paul mishit that, and the ball just feathers away slowly like a changeup.
You know, Dave, sometimes most good players, you can say, well, they're a back wall specialist or they're a fly kill specialist. If I can keep the ball off the back wall, I'm safe, or if I can keep him from. But Paul has both. He's a fly kill artist and he's a back wall artist. So there's no safe place to put the ball. I mean, look at that, Dave. That's a ceiling shot that most guys are not going to flat roll.
4-0.
Paul follows that ball around too, looks up over his head to the right,
Point.
off the back wall. Andy looking like he's not even leaning to the left, just not getting out of the box.
5-0.
Well, you know, Paul set him up for that serve with the last 5 serves. Hadn't gone down the right. Almost like you keep throwing the fastball and then finally a changeup and you're just not ready.
I think Paul likes to play this style right here. I mean, he's trading with Andy, but his punches are more precise, right? I mean,
5-0.
I mean, the only way you can explain playing Paul Brady is he's got a machine gun and you've got a butter knife. I mean, it's kind of what it feels like. You've got a matchstick and he's got a sword in both hands.
is there dynamite in the area with that matchstick? You can just, with a wick that's ready to burst. If not,
he's got a 9mm, you've got a water gun. I guess I'm gonna stop now. I think you get the idea.
I thought I could use one more analogy.
Didn't sense that you were really enjoying it all that much.
It's like me getting a paycheck and you getting a
5-0.
pink slip. It's like that.
Mm.
Wait, too soon?
Short.
That was short.
Peels. Both agree.
Paul Brady, Dave, has kept his streak
Second serve.
intact. He's not yet won an appeal on one of his serves. One of his own serves, that is.
Hold it. Hold it.
Paul, 0 for 8 in this event. 0 for 31 on the season, appealing his own serves.
You know, Paul Brady is a good artist.
5-0.
But it was up until last year, I didn't recall ever seeing Paul dive for a ball. Now you see it kind of regularly. And now he has a reverse, too, in the middle of a
Well, it was
a
a
rally?
reverse off the side wall, which was, I don't think I've ever seen.
6-0.
Is it even possible to do that?
Well, it just happened, so. Apparently it is.
I mean, he just took Andy right out of his
Second
shoes.
serve.
Watch this.
I think it's just the power.
Point.
Paul's power flattens the ball out when it hits the floor, so it seems like a reverse even when it really isn't.
7-0.
That's crazy. This can be a big setup for Paul. Uses his right hand, goes to that corner, doesn't use it though, and just blasts it past Andy. No timeout called from him. It's 8-0.
8-0. Short.
Paul scored 14 in a row, now
Second
8 in a
serve.
row. I think he just tried to invent a serve there, Dave, for fun.
Cut out.
Yep.
He said, I'm just going to kind of hit this one like a big ball, hard as I can,
0
10
serves
feet
8.
high off the front wall, see what happens. And he's still got a setup. Wow.
Cut out.
Wow.
Eight serve 0.
You know, Dave, for Andy Nett, this final is just kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid. I don't think it's going to hurt all that much. It's just
Point.
quick and painless. And he had an amazing tournament. Let's not discount that.
9-0.
How many people have beat Luis Moreno and Sean Lenning in the same event in race play? Now, of course, Paul Brady, but Dave, I'm not sure I can think of another player outside of Jod Iglesias who beat them both last year at this
10-0.
event that's done that.
Right.
I just don't know that it's happened. Now, you know, Alan Garner can beat Luis Moreno, but then he doesn't
Second
beat
serve.
Sean Lenning, so he's out of the equation. Robbie McCarthy did
Point.
defeat Sean Lenning, but did not defeat
11-0.
Luis Moreno in that tournament. They didn't play. You may see this in the stock watch. You never know.
12-0.
Boy, Paul Brady is so strong. Go way up there.
Oh, terrible shot from Andy.
Point.
And Andy was fortunate that he's not in a position to get galled here.
13-0.
If he hadn't scored those 3 points at the end of the first game, and remember, Paul served for it at 14-0. And if Paul hadn't made that error there, we could be looking at a gall.
Match point serve 0.
A gall, of course, Dave, being a finals double D, double donut. And I don't think Paul wants to give the donut, but he did.
What else is going to do here? He came in to win, and that's what he did. I don't think he wanted to put that donut out there. And you see Paul talking to Andy here, and I really do believe, Dave, that there's a little bit of sorry about that, man, right there. You know, you could see reading his lips. Sorry about that. And I think Andy's such a nice guy. He's like, you know,
Yeah,
this is what happens.
this is sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not here for charity.
You know, you're playing to win. I mean,
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Brady takes down Andy Nett there, 15-0 in game number 2, and really there's nothing else you can say about it other than Paul just did what we thought he would do. You know that will be courtside here. Kara Mack will be on the court with Andy and Paul. You're watching the WPH Race for 8. As we're getting ready for that presentation. Hard to hold a microphone, couple trophies, all at the same time, but that's exactly what our multi-talented and tasked, I don't know if that's even a word, Kara Mack is. Kara, I mean, how are you able to do it?
I don't know how well I'm doing this right now, but that's okay, Dave. I first want to talk to you, Andy. Great tournament run. I know, you must feel some disappointment here, but to make it to the finals, beating Sean Lenning, beating Luis Moreno, somewhat unheard of in these tournaments. So fantastic run to get here. How does it feel leaving New York today?
Yeah, it was a great run. Obviously, it wasn't really, I didn't even expect it. I had to change my flight last night. I was flying out early this morning because I didn't think I'd be here, but it's a great run just to get in the court with Paul, and it's too bad. I mean, I needed everything I had plus a little bit to hang in there with him. I didn't have anything left, so sorry, it wasn't a better show, but he's impressive.
Knowing that your serve is a huge asset to you, how frustrating was it in that first game to not really even get to show him anything?
Yeah, it's tough to, you know, not even get in there a couple times to get a feel for it. So, but he does that to a lot of people. But I'm happy to get here and maybe get back again and have a better showing next time.
Exactly that. Are you looking to get back into it, or are we going to see you in Salt Lake City?
It's handball happens. You know, you get frustrated and you go away a little bit, and then it always does a little bit to pull you back in. You just can't stay away.
All right, we're pulling you back in. We're going to give you this medal to go away with as well. Here for the finalists. Congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
And we hope to see you in Salt Lake City. And again, great job this weekend.
Hey, not bad.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to bring Paul in here. He disappeared for a second, probably to go wipe off after this. We have more to give to him. He's making me multitask even longer. Paul, congratulations. Amazing job. Another finals. This medal for you. Hand this over to you. What does this one mean to you? I know there's one left.
Obviously, the club sponsored me, so they've been good to me over the years. So I always want to do well here. But I feel good. Feel good going forward for the rest of the year.
I feel guilty holding this because this one's all yours. You talked last night a little bit about not having at all a fear, because you never have the fear, but that there may always be an upset and you have to have your mind on that. Coming in today, any thoughts on that again, or were you pretty confident coming through?
Well, I felt good myself, but you know, I suppose you live like that always. You know that an upset's just around the corner, so I just, you know, I'm always weary of that, and you know, I take that when I'm training as well. Every evening I go training, I remember that, so I've got to give it my best when I am there. But like I say, I felt good. I thought Andy must have been tired, which he was. Obviously, he had to qualify, so he had those 2 tough extra games, and he had tougher matches than me. So I kind of was trying to keep the intensity up as much as I could, put pressure on him as much as I could, because I suspected I felt better than him. So that's the way it proved. Unfortunately, he had nothing left in the final. So. But he had a great tournament.
I know you as well had your eye a little bit on the women's match before this, when Katrina Casey was forced into that tiebreaker and everyone somewhat in awe that this was happening. You were warming up at the time, and knowing that your match was next, we were questioning, could the same thing happen? Could pressure be put on Paul? And it really wasn't here today. What were you thinking coming into this? Is that might happen, or?
Yeah, of course, yeah, you're weary, you know, but I didn't take the match before that to remind me of that. I'm always aware of that. You know, a few points either way, and the whole complexion of things change, so I've got to stay intense all the time. But Sienna's a good player. Do you know what I mean? You know, I think she's coming now to challenge Katrina, but you know, I just didn't want any, you know, fairy tale stories here today. You know, Andy had a great tournament, but I want to make sure it ended there. You know, so.
Definitely proved that today. We look forward to seeing you in Salt Lake City.
Okay,
congratulations.
thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Kara Mack. Congratulations again. Paul Brady, dominant, the GOAT, and he proved it there with a 15-3, 15-0 thrashing in New York. It's been a great tournament. WPH Race for 8 as we are at the Big Apple, the big tournament here at the NYAC. Everything has been just absolutely wonderful. Katrina Casey taking down Sienna Nee Kareen in the women's final in a tiebreaker. A lot of drama there. A lot of upsets throughout the tournament. Dave Fink losing in the first round with an upset against the youngster from Ireland, Colin Crehan, I should say. And then Marcos Chavez losing to Jonathan Iglesias. Marcos was a top 8 invite. He lost there. We saw Mike Schneider defeat Luis Cordova, which was a slight upset here in the qualifying round. And then Andy Nett getting through the number 2 seed, Luis Moreno, and making it all the way to the finals. It's been a wonderful tournament. We've seen some upsets. We've seen some blowouts. We've seen some zeros. Those that we didn't think would ever go to a tiebreaker again in their career did. And so dominant players weren't so dominant. Some of them remained to be that way, and it was just a lot of fun watching it all unfold here on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. For Chris Garrad, Linda Manning, Jeff Kastner, Gene Kazumoto, as well as Dave Fink, broadcast partner, and those that have helped out with this live broadcast, we want to say thank you for being a part of the action. Jeff Kastner doing a great job with the film work as well. We are going to take a break, and that is going to be for about a month for us as we then have the Players' Championship in Salt Lake City. Make sure to visit us on our website at wphlive.tv, as we'll give you the wrap-up from this tournament and the forecast of what is to come on the professional tour. Until then, thank you for watching ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
So, what's it gonna be? We could ride bikes, skating, movies, zoo, whatever you guys want to do.
Can we just do this?
Yeah. We could just do this.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.